Alrighty friends, so before I even start talking about this video, just make sure you watch the whole thing, okay? Watch the whole video I'm going to talk about, okay? And then also remember, go and subscribe to my channel because you know what? This is a huge update, okay? So this is going to be extremely important and beneficial to you and to me, okay? Because I get to talk about it. I get to talk about it to you on your own screen while I am recording myself at my own home, okay? And so yeah, just watch this, subscribe to my channel, because I'm constantly coming out with information that you want to miss, and better yet, I've already come out with a ton of stuff that you want to go watch. So make sure you go watch it, okay? It's everything I've come out with is just absolutely incredible. If it's worth my time recording it, it's worth your time watching it, all right? So without further ado, Roger Goodell is the commissioner of the NFL, okay, the National Football League, the football league that's here in the United States of America, okay? And before I go into it even further, I want to mention that, I already won the lottery, okay? I was born in the US of A, baby, okay? So that was from a quote from Creed Bratton, who was in the show The Office, okay? If you haven't seen The Office, it's a great show. I love it. I think it's incredible. Such a great show. So, Roger Goodell, I love talking about leadership, and especially I love talking about football, okay? And when it comes to football, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to the National Football League, I really think Roger Goodell kind of messed up the NFL, to be honest with you, because essentially, the overarching reason why I think Roger Goodell negatively impacted the National Football League, right, was because he just doesn't know what he's doing, okay? Obviously, there's a very few times when, you have to discipline teams, you have to discipline players, right? It happens, right? You see it every once in a while, but it doesn't happen a lot, right? It obviously doesn't happen every single day of, like on the job. But every so often, every couple months or, every couple years or whatever, there's going to be a time when you have to discipline somebody, whether it's an employee, whether it's a team, whether it's a player. And, Roger Goodell just does not know how to do that. He doesn't, okay? He's just that whole side of his job is super flawed, okay? Obviously, he, can voice his opinion, and obviously his opinion is wrong, okay? The biggest example that I give is Deflate Gate. If you look at Deflate, and I'm just saying this as, open as possible, and not because I'm a New England fan and all that, right? I'm trying to really be unbiased here, okay? But if you look at Deflate Gate, the Patriots got fined extremely heavily, okay? Basically the highest fine a team has ever received for anything, right? And then you look at Tom Brady, okay? He got, 4-game suspension, a whole bunch of other fines, and he shouldn't have, okay? He got fined heavily as well. And honestly, it's not right. It's just extremely one-sided. It was clear that, they could not prove whether the Patriots and Tom Brady deflated the footballs or not, okay? And I really feel like there's a lot of science that proves that not Roger Goodell, because clearly he's a fraud at this point, but there's a lot of science that proves that when you bring the football from a warm room, okay, so quick backdrop to this little scene I am setting up for you, okay? AFC championship game, sorry about that. New England Patriots versus the Indianapolis Colts, right? If you don't know when the AFC championship game is, it's basically in the middle of January, okay? Like the middle to the end of January. So here in New England, in mid to late January, it's freezing out. Like, it is freaking cold, okay? All you had to do is walk outside and you literally become like a big block of ice, right? You basically become a freaking igloo because it's just so dang cold. And usually by then we're buried in like 30,000 feet of snow because it's just absolutely it's just frigid. Okay, it's basically with the wind chill. It's pretty much near, it's pretty much near 10 degrees, right? So there you go. There's essentially the setting. So when you bring a football, right, and in this case it was a bag of footballs, and from an indoor room, a nice warm indoor room, to an outdoor setting, as cold as it was, right? Again, right around 20, like 10, 20 degrees or so, and plus Gillette Stadium. It's the game was played at Gillette Stadium here in Foxborough, Massachusetts, right? And Gillette Stadium is essentially a wind tunnel, okay? Because the part of the stadium where the bridge is, the lighthouse is, right? The wind the wind goes through there, right? And it just whips around the stadium. Okay, I've been there plenty of times to experience that whole wind tunnel, wind chill extravaganza, right? It's freaking windy. Okay, it's a beautiful stadium. It's a great stadium. It's a fantastic facility. But when you go to games like that, in December, January, it's chilly. Okay, it's freezing. So yeah, when you bring that football from an indoor temperature, from a nice warm temperature inside to a freezing temperature on the outside, the PSI is going to drop drastically, okay? Just because of all the pressure being forced onto it by, just gravity in general. It's forced down, which therefore sucks out all the PSI, right? And in the way Tom Brady likes his footballs to begin with, the NFL gives a certain standard for a PSI level measurement, right? So Tom Brady had the PSI, level like within the zone, right? But it was on the lower spectrum of the zone. So, he was already within that requirement, so it shouldn't have been a big deal, right? And when the footballs were brought outside, it should have still remained within that spectrum, although it did decrease a little bit due to it going outside, right? Due to the exertion being forced onto the ball. And there were several studies done by several universities throughout the United States of America, right? And they did their studies. They all basically said the same thing, right? They proving this theory that I just talked extensively about. Okay, and Slick Roger Goodell was clearly just sitting in his basement eating donuts when the whole jury and the whole trial went on, right? Because he just took all that information at the end, disregarded it 100%. It was just like, no, all these studies and all these different things done by universities and top scientists and this person and that person, it doesn't matter. It's just extra leg room, for the other side of things. But let me do my job here and just be like, it's not worth it. The Patriots are, cheaters. They try to, they try to use other sources in order to try to win the game. And by the way, the game wasn't even close, okay? You could have given the Patriots literally a bar of soap, like a wet bar of soap. Okay, if you don't know what a wet bar of soap is like, it's hard to hold, okay? You could have given that to the Patriots, and they still would have crushed the Colts, okay? Because I'm just shocked that the Colts even made it that far. With all due respect, okay? So it's just frustrating for me, and not only me, but just a New England fan in general, to just deal with this kind of situation, okay? And so you look at that, and then you take other things that occurred within the NFL, like other things done by other teams or other players. There's players that are like absolutely reckless and like do absolutely terrible things, right? Again, it's one of those things where it doesn't happen all the time. It's these kind of things happen every once in a very long while, right? But if if you look at that, again, I'm sorry, I'm just so frustrated right now. The anger against Roger Goodell is really just it's mounting in my system, right? So I'm just trying to set aside that frustration and try to really articulate what I want to try to prove here, right? So these these scenarios by a couple of the players in the past 10 15 years, essentially they were assaulting people, right? That's the long short of it. There's essentially no other way of explaining it, right? And again, Roger Goodell was sitting in his basement eating donuts and not paying attention to literally anything, right? He clearly wasn't paying attention to, number one, his job, right? And number two, he wasn't paying attention to literally everything that they were saying in the news. Because, again, it was one of those situations where Roger Goodell, Slick Roger, was just like, give him like 2 games, suspension, and, fine him, a few $1,000s, and then he can come back to the NFL and start playing. He needs to learn his lesson, but it's not that bad. It's like, really, Roger? Some of these players just like went crazy, and you're essentially telling them it's okay. Like, it's not. These are major crimes that need serious punishments for. You've got to be kidding me. So I just explained that, way more than I needed to. Okay. So in the big scheme of things, he just doesn't pay attention, right? He essentially has the title, and the title with Roger doesn't mean anything. And nothing whatsoever, okay? And I've got to give credit to a lot of folks within the NFL that are trying to pick up his slack, right? So to all of those folks trying to do his job, trying to do his work, your work is phenomenal, right? Your work is going it's not going unnoticed, right? Your work is going noticed. And there's a ton of folks in the NFL that make the league great. And unfortunately, Roger Goodell is not one of them whatsoever. He's the only one that's ruining the league. And unfortunately, he's the one at the top of it, and he's just radiating a whole bunch of negativity. And unfortunately, if you're at the top and if you're in a position of high superiority, and you're in a position of high strength, and you radiate negativity, that trickles down the organization real fast. Like, super fast, super speed, wicked fast. So yeah, that just doesn't really look good. But, there's a lot of very smart people in the NFL, and they all realize, hey, we can't follow Roger's lead. We can't let that negativity change our minds about our jobs. We've got to keep our heads held high. So to all of you, the rest of you, congratulations, good job. You're doing your job the way you need to. But to Roger Goodell, time to get working, buddy.